In the heart of Victorian London, a city cloaked in mystery and steeped in the echoes of its storied past, the fog rolls through the narrow streets like a whisper of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Here, amidst the gaslit alleyways and the hustle of bustling markets, two extraordinary figures rise as the city's most formidable alliance, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson. Holmes, a detective of unparalleled intellect and keen observation, possesses an extraordinary ability to perceive the world through a lens of logic and deduction. His mind, a labyrinth of knowledge and insight, allows him to unravel the most intricate of puzzles. Beside him stands Dr. John Watson, a former army doctor turned chronicler of their adventures, whose steadfast loyalty and grounded perspective provide the perfect counterbalance to Holmes's eccentricities. Their latest case begins with the shocking murder of a young woman, Evelyn, whose tragic end becomes the catalyst for a gripping tale of intrigue. As the investigation unfolds, the duo is drawn into a web of dark magic and sinister plots, orchestrated by the enigmatic Lord Blackwood, a man whose reputation for the occult casts a long shadow over the city. As Holmes and Watson delve deeper into the mysteries surrounding Blackwood, they uncover a chilling conspiracy that threatens not only their lives, but the very fabric of society itself. With each clue they uncover, the stakes rise and the danger becomes palpable. They encounter a host of adversaries and face treacherous traps set by Blackwood's followers, testing their resolve and their wits. In this thrilling narrative, we witness not only a battle against darkness, but also a profound exploration of friendship, loyalty, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Join us as we embark on a riveting journey through the labyrinth of Victorian London, where every shadow holds a secret, and every revelation could mean the difference between life and death. This is the story of Sherlock Holmes, a tale where intellect clashes with malevolence, and the bond between two friends illuminates the path to salvation. Chapter 1. Shadows of Intrigue. In the heart of Victorian London, a city thick with fog and layered in secrets, a sense of unease hung in the air. It was a time when gas lamps flickered to life as twilight descended, casting long shadows that danced along the cobblestone streets. The clatter of horse-drawn carriages echoed through the alleys, while the distant sound of the Thames flowed steadily, a constant witness to the city's hidden truths and unsolved mysteries. On a particularly dreary evening, a sense of foreboding enveloped 221B, Baker Street, the residence of the famed detective Sherlock Holmes. Holmes, with his sharp features and piercing eyes, was immersed in thought, his mind racing through the complexities of a recent case. The room was filled with the scent of tobacco smoke as he leaned back in his chair, a violin resting against his shoulder. The notes he played were somber, mirroring the weight of his thoughts. Dr. John Watson, his loyal companion, sat across the room, scribbling in his journal. Having recently returned from a stint in Afghanistan, Watson's experiences had left him with a keen understanding of both human nature and the complexities of life. He looked up from his writing, observing Holmes with a mixture of admiration and concern. "Sherlock," Watson began, breaking the silence that had settled between them. "You've been preoccupied for days. Is there something troubling you?" Holmes paused, his fingers halting over the strings of the violin. He set the instrument down and turned his intense gaze toward Watson. "My dear Watson, it is not merely the weight of a single case that occupies my thoughts. It is the very fabric of our city that seems to be fraying at the edges. Dark forces are at play, and I fear we are on the precipice of something sinister." Before Watson could respond, a sudden knock at the door interrupted their conversation. The sound was urgent, almost frantic. Holmes raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "I wonder who that could be at this hour." Watson rose to answer the door, and as he opened it, a young woman rushed in, her face pale and her eyes wide with fear. She was dressed in a simple, yet elegant gown, and her hair was loosely gathered, suggesting she had come in haste. "Please, you must help me," she implored, her voice trembling. "Calm yourself, miss," Watson said gently, ushering her into the room. "What seems to be the problem?" The woman took a moment to compose herself, glancing nervously at the door as if she feared someone might follow her. "My name is Evelyn. I believe my life is in danger. I have seen things I cannot explain. I fear for my safety and that of my loved ones." Holmes stepped forward, his keen interest ignited. "What is it you have seen, Miss Evelyn? Please, tell us everything." Evelyn glanced around the room, her breath quickening. It is Lord Blackwood. He is a man of dark reputation, known for his occult practices. I was involved with him, but I ended it. Now he has threatened me. I saw him last night, standing in the shadows, watching me. I fear he will come for me. Holmes exchanged a knowing look with Watson. The mention of Lord Blackwood sent a chill through the air. Blackwood was a figure shrouded in rumors, a man whose fascination with the dark arts had earned him both followers and enemies. What do you know of his activities? Holmes asked, leaning in closer. Evelyn hesitated, her eyes darting around the room. He has been involved in strange rituals, seeking power through dark means. I saw him with a group of men, chanting in a hidden place. They spoke of a great sacrifice, of invoking something beyond our world. I cannot shake the feeling that I am part of this, that he seeks to use me for his own purposes. Holmes's expression hardened as he processed her words. And you believe he intends to harm you? I do, she replied, tears welling in her eyes. He warned me that leaving him would have consequences. I am terrified, Mr. Holmes. I have nowhere else to turn. Watson stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You are safe here, Miss Evelyn. We will protect you. But we must understand more about Blackwood and his plans. Can you tell us anything else? Evelyn took a deep breath, steadying herself. I overheard them discussing a ritual that would take place soon, at the stroke of midnight on the next full moon. They spoke of power and control, of unleashing something that would bring London to its knees. I fear it is a matter of life and death. Holmes's mind raced as he processed the implications of her revelations. The clock was ticking, and they had little time to act. Very well, Miss Evelyn. You will stay here with us for the time being. Watson and I will investigate this matter further. We cannot allow Blackwood to continue his dark machinations unchecked. As Evelyn nodded, a glimmer of hope emerged in her eyes, though it was tempered by the weight of fear that still lingered. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. I do not know what I would have done without your help. With the immediate crisis addressed, Holmes and Watson set about gathering information on Lord Blackwood. They began their investigation by visiting the places where Blackwood was known to frequent, delving into the shadows of London's underworld. They spoke to informants, gathering whispers of dark rituals and strange gatherings, each piece of information drawing them closer to the heart of the mystery. Days turned into nights as they followed leads, piecing together Blackwood's movements and connections. The more they learned, the more they understood the depth of his obsession with the occult. Blackwood was not merely a man of wealth and influence. He was a master manipulator, drawing in followers who believed in his promises of power and enlightenment. As the full moon approached, tension mounted. Evelyn remained in their care, her presence a constant reminder of the danger that loomed. Holmes and Watson had taken precautions to ensure her safety, but they knew that time was running out. They formulated a plan to confront Blackwood, determined to put an end to his dark schemes before it was too late. On the eve of the full moon, as the city lay under a blanket of darkness, Holmes and Watson prepared to infiltrate one of Blackwood's secret gatherings. Disguised as potential recruits, they made their way to an abandoned estate rumored to be the site of Blackwood's rituals. The air was thick with tension, and every sound seemed amplified in the stillness of the night. As they approached the estate, the flicker of torches illuminated the gathering of hooded figures, their chants echoing through the night like a haunting melody. Holmes and Watson exchanged a determined glance, aware that they were about to step into a world fraught with danger. With every step, they moved closer to uncovering the truth behind Blackwood's dark ambitions. Unbeknownst to them, the night held more secrets than they could imagine, and the battle against the forces of darkness had only just begun. Chapter 2. The Dark Conspiracy. As the pale light of dawn broke over London, casting a soft glow on the rooftops, the city stirred to life once more. The fog that had blanketed the streets began to lift, revealing the bustling energy of a metropolis unaware of the sinister forces at play beneath its surface. In the quiet confines of 221B, Baker Street, however, the atmosphere was charged with urgency and anticipation. Sherlock Holmes sat at his desk, poring over a series of notes and documents scattered before him. His keen mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, piecing together the fragments of information they had gathered since Evelyn's harrowing visit. Each detail about Lord Blackwood and his dark practices seemed to weave a more intricate tapestry of conspiracy, and Holmes was determined to unravel it. Dr. John Watson, ever the steadfast companion, paced the room, his brow furrowed in thought. Holmes, we cannot delay any longer. If Blackwood is indeed planning a ritual, we must find a way to thwart him before it occurs. Evelyn's safety is paramount, but so too is the safety of countless others who may be caught in the crossfire. Holmes looked up, his sharp gaze meeting Watson's. You are correct, my friend. The full moon approaches, and with it, Blackwood's intentions will crystallize. We must discover the location of this ritual and the means by which he intends to carry it out. Time is of the essence. With a determined nod, Watson took a seat across from Holmes. What is our next step? We need to infiltrate his circle and learn more about his followers. They may hold the key to understanding his plans. Precisely, Holmes replied, a spark of excitement in his eyes. We must gather intelligence on Blackwood's inner circle. If we can identify those who are closest to him, we may gain insights into his operations and intentions. I have a contact in the city's underbelly who may assist us, an informant known for his knowledge of the occult. Who is this contact? Watson inquired, curiosity piqued. His name is Tobias, a former member of Blackwood's sect who grew disillusioned with their practices. He now trades information for safety and anonymity. It is essential that we approach him cautiously. Without further ado, Holmes donned his coat and hat, and they set out into the bustling streets of London. The city was alive with activity, yet an undercurrent of tension flowed through the air, as if the very fabric of society was holding its breath in anticipation of the impending storm. They navigated through narrow lanes and bustling markets, finally arriving at a dimly lit tavern on the outskirts of town. The establishment, known as the Black Crow, was a place where shadows lingered and secrets thrived. The scent of damp wood and stale ale filled the air, creating an atmosphere that was both inviting and foreboding. Inside, the tavern was sparsely populated. A few patrons sat in hushed conversations, their faces obscured by the low light. Holmes scanned the room, his eyes quickly settling on a solitary figure hunched over a table in the corner. Tobias was a man of average height, with a scruffy beard and weary eyes that spoke of his tumultuous past. Holmes, Tobias exclaimed as they approached, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. I didn't expect to see you here. What brings you to this den of iniquity? Good to see you, Tobias, Holmes replied, taking a seat opposite the man. We have urgent matters to discuss. I trust you have heard of Lord Blackwood's recent activities. Tobias nodded, his expression shifting to one of concern. I've heard the whispers. There's talk of something dark brewing, a ritual that could bring unspeakable horrors to this city. But I'm no longer involved with Blackwood. His path is one of destruction, and I want nothing to do with it. Watson leaned in, his voice low. We need your insights, Tobias. What can you tell us about Blackwood's followers and the nature of this ritual? Tobias hesitated, glancing around to ensure they were not overheard. Blackwood has gathered a group of fervent disciples, men and women who are enamored with his promises of power and enlightenment. They believe he can grant them abilities beyond their imagination. But they are blind to the true cost of such power. Holmes interjected. And what of the ritual? When and where is it to take place? Tobias leaned closer, lowering his voice. It is set for tonight, at the old cathedral ruins on the outskirts of the city. They believe this location is imbued with ancient energy, a portal to realms beyond our understanding. The full moon will amplify their power, and they intend to summon something that should remain undisturbed. A chill ran down Watson's spine. And Evelyn? What role does she play in all of this? Tobias's expression darkened. Evelyn was chosen as a vessel. Blackwood believes she possesses a unique connection to the spiritual realm. By sacrificing her, he hopes to unleash a force that will grant him dominion over life and death. You must protect her at all costs. Holmes's mind raced as the implications of Tobias's words sank in. We must act swiftly. If we can disrupt the ritual, we may thwart Blackwood's plans and save Evelyn. Tobias nodded, urgency in his voice. I'll help you, but you must promise to keep me out of this. I have my own demons to contend with. Holmes extended his hand, sealing their agreement. You have my word, Tobias. Now, tell us how we can best approach the cathedral. Tobias provided them with a detailed description of the path to the ruins and the layout of the area. With the plan forming in their minds, Holmes and Watson knew they had little time to waste. They thanked Tobias and left the tavern, the weight of the impending confrontation heavy upon them. As they made their way back through the streets of London, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch into eternity. Holmes's mind raced with strategies, each possibility playing out like a scene in a grand play. Watson remained close, his resolve unwavering as they prepared for the challenge ahead. Arriving at Baker Street, they found Evelyn pacing anxiously. The tension in the room was palpable as she sensed the urgency in their demeanor. "What is it? Have you found out more about Blackwood?" she asked, her voice trembling. Holmes stepped forward, his tone reassuring. "We have uncovered crucial information, Miss Evelyn. Blackwood is planning a ritual tonight at the cathedral ruins. We believe you are at the center of his dark intentions." Evelyn gasped, her face pale. "I cannot allow that to happen. I must not be a part of his plans." Watson placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You are not alone in this. We will protect you, but we need to act quickly. We must disrupt the ritual before it can begin." Holmes glanced at the clock ticking ominously on the wall. "We have mere hours before the full moon rises. We must prepare for a confrontation." With a sense of purpose, the trio gathered supplies, a lantern, ropes, and a few makeshift weapons for defense. Holmes meticulously outlined their plan, detailing how they would approach the cathedral and what to expect. Evelyn listened intently, her determination growing as she recognized the lengths they were willing to go to protect her. As the sun set, casting a crimson hue across the sky, they set out toward the cathedral ruins. The streets grew quieter, the usual bustle fading into an eerie silence that seemed to foretell the darkness to come. The path to the ruins was fraught with danger, and they moved cautiously, aware that Blackwood's followers might already be gathering. When they finally arrived at the cathedral, the air was thick with anticipation. The ancient stones loomed overhead, remnants of a once great structure now overtaken by nature and neglect. Shadows danced in the flickering light of their lantern as they approached the entrance, the atmosphere charged with an unnatural energy. Holmes gestured for silence, signaling to Watson and Evelyn to remain alert. They crept closer, peering through the crumbling archway into the main chamber. Inside, a group of hooded figures encircled a makeshift altar, their voices rising in an ominous chant. Blackwood stood among them, his presence commanding and malevolent. "Now is the time," Holmes whispered, his eyes fixed on the scene before them. "We must act quickly." With a nod, they moved into position. Holmes and Watson flanked the entrance, while Evelyn remained hidden behind a crumbling column, her heart racing. As the chanting intensified, the air crackled with energy, and the moon rose higher in the sky, illuminating the scene with an ethereal glow. Holmes shouted, breaking the spell of the gathering. "Lord Blackwood, your dark ambitions end tonight." The hooded figures turned in surprise, their chants faltering as they beheld the intruders. Blackwood's eyes narrowed with fury, and he stepped forward, his voice dripping with disdain. "You dare to interrupt my work? You are a fool, Holmes. This is beyond your understanding." Watson stepped forward, brandishing a lantern. "Your reign of terror ends here. We will not allow you to harm Evelyn or unleash whatever darkness you seek." The followers hesitated, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Blackwood raised a hand, silencing them. "You cannot comprehend the power I am about to wield. Stand aside, or you will meet your demise." Holmes, unwavering, took a step closer. "You underestimate the strength of truth and justice. We will not be intimidated by your threats." With a wave of his hand, Blackwood commanded his followers to resume their chanting. The air grew heavy with dark energy, and the atmosphere crackled with tension. Evelyn, hidden yet resolute, felt the weight of the moment. She stepped forward, her voice steady. "You will not use me for your dark desires, Blackwood." The tension reached a boiling point as the followers hesitated, caught between loyalty to their leader and the undeniable truth standing before them. In that moment of uncertainty, Holmes seized the opportunity. "We can end this now. You have a choice. Join us, or face the consequences of your actions." With that, the atmosphere shifted. Some of the hooded figures began to step back, doubt creeping into their hearts. Blackwood's anger flared, and he raised his arms, commanding his followers to stay. "Fools, you know nothing of the power we seek. You cannot comprehend what lies beyond." Evelyn stepped closer, her voice strong. "I will not be a pawn in your game, Blackwood. You will not have my life." In that pivotal moment, the tension snapped. Some of the followers, shaken by Evelyn's defiance, began to lower their hoods, revealing faces filled with uncertainty. Blackwood's fury erupted. "You will all regret this. This is your last chance." Holmes seized the moment. "Enough of this madness. We will not allow you to proceed." As the moonlight bathed the chamber in an otherworldly glow, the battle between light and darkness began. The air shimmered with tension as the followers wavered, and the chant faltered. A fight broke out, chaos erupting as some followers turned against Blackwood, unwilling to carry out his dark desires. Holmes and Watson sprang into action, confronting the remaining loyalists. With quick thinking and agility, they engaged in a struggle that felt like a dance of fate, each move calculated as they fought against the tide of darkness. Evelyn stood firm, her heart pounding as she witnessed the chaos unfold. She felt a surge of power within herself, a strength born from the knowledge that she would not be a victim. In that moment, she resolved to stand alongside Holmes and Watson, to fight for her own fate. As the struggle continued, Blackwood's voice rose above the fray, filled with rage. "You think you can thwart me? I will summon the darkness, and you will all pay the price." With a final surge of determination, Holmes and Watson pushed forward, their resolve unyielding. The followers who had once been loyal to Blackwood now found themselves questioning their allegiance, their hearts swayed by the truth that stood before them. In a climactic moment, Evelyn stepped forward, calling upon the power within herself. "You will not take my life. I choose my own fate." As her voice rang out, the air crackled with energy, and a blinding light enveloped the chamber. The force of her declaration broke the grip of darkness, sending shockwaves through the gathered crowd. Blackwood staggered back, his expression shifting from rage to fear as the darkness he had sought to wield began to unravel. In that instant, the followers turned against him, realizing the depth of his deception. They began to flee, breaking the bonds of loyalty that had once chained them to his will. The tide had turned. Holmes and Watson seized the moment, rushing forward to confront Blackwood. "Your reign of terror ends now," Holmes declared, his voice echoing through the chamber as the energy shifted. With a final, desperate attempt, Blackwood unleashed a wave of dark energy, but it was met with the combined strength of Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn. The confrontation culminated in a brilliant flash of light, as the darkness was vanquished and the power of truth prevailed. As the light faded, the chamber fell silent. The remnants of the ritual lay scattered, and the hooded figures had vanished into the night. Blackwood was left alone, his ambitions shattered, his power extinguished. Breathing heavily, Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn stood together, united in their victory. The danger had passed, but the scars of the battle would linger. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, bound by the experience that had tested their resolve. As they made their way out of the cathedral ruins, the first light of dawn broke over the horizon. The city, once again, was awakening to a new day, a day free from the shadows that had threatened to engulf it. Holmes glanced at Evelyn, a sense of pride in his eyes. "You were remarkable tonight, Miss Evelyn. Your courage turned the tide." Evelyn smiled, a mixture of relief and determination in her expression. "I will not let fear control my fate again. Thank you for believing in me." Watson nodded, his heart swelling with gratitude for the bond they had forged. "Together, we are stronger. We have faced darkness and emerged victorious." As they walked into the light of a new day, the weight of their victory settled upon them. The battle against darkness may have been won, but the fight for truth and justice would continue. They were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 3. Echoes of the Past. The dawn broke gently over London, its soft light spilling through the mist that still clung to the city like a shroud. The events of the previous night hung in the air, an echo of chaos that had transformed into a fragile calm. As the city awakened, the streets began to stir with life, unaware of the darkness that had been vanquished, if only temporarily. At 221B, Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes stood by the window, gazing out at the bustling streets below. His mind was a whirlpool of thoughts, analyzing the recent confrontation with Lord Blackwood and the implications of their victory. While the immediate danger had passed, he knew that the shadows of Blackwood's ambitions would linger, and the threat was not eradicated but merely postponed. Dr. John Watson entered the room, a steaming cup of tea in hand. He set it down on the table beside Holmes, concern etched on his face. "You've been unusually quiet this morning, Holmes. What troubles you?" Holmes turned from the window, his piercing gaze meeting Watson's. "It is not the victory that weighs on me, Watson, but the knowledge that dark forces are still at play. Blackwood may have been thwarted, but his followers remain, and their beliefs do not vanish overnight." Watson nodded, understanding the depth of Holmes's concerns. "We expose the truth to them, but how many will remain loyal to Blackwood? There are always those who cling to power, regardless of its source." "Precisely," Holmes replied, his brow furrowing. We must anticipate their next moves. If they seek to regroup, we must be prepared to counter their efforts. I suspect Blackwood's influence extends beyond what we have seen, and he will not easily relinquish his hold. As they spoke, Evelyn entered the room, her demeanor a blend of relief and lingering anxiety. The events of the previous night had taken a toll on her, and the weight of her past still clung to her like a specter. She approached Holmes and Watson, her voice steady yet tinged with uncertainty. What happens now? What if Blackwood returns? Holmes regarded her with empathy. We will be vigilant, Miss Evelyn. Your strength in confronting him last night was commendable, but we must not underestimate the power of his followers. They may seek revenge or attempt to continue his work in secret. Evelyn took a deep breath, steeling herself. I want to help. I cannot hide from my past any longer. I need to understand what binds them to Blackwood and how I can assist in preventing his return. Watson smiled, recognizing the fire within her. Your courage is commendable, Evelyn. Together, we can uncover the truth behind Blackwood's influence and dismantle his network. Holmes nodded, impressed by her resolve. Very well. Our first course of action should be to trace Blackwood's connections. We must seek out information about his followers, their beliefs, and their motivations. I have a contact who may provide us with valuable insights, an old acquaintance who is well-versed in the occult. Evelyn's curiosity piqued. Who is this contact? His name is Mycroft Holmes, replied Sherlock, a hint of amusement in his voice. My brother, though he often operates in the shadows of government and intelligence, has connections that could prove beneficial. He may have knowledge of Blackwood's activities and the reach of his cult. Watson raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Your brother? I've heard you speak of him, but I've yet to meet him. He is a man of considerable intellect, though often more concerned with matters of state than with the supernatural. Nevertheless, he may have insights that could aid our investigation. With a plan in mind, Holmes gathered his coat and hat, preparing to visit Mycroft. Evelyn and Watson joined him, and together, they set out into the bustling streets of London once more. The air was brisk, and the sounds of the city enveloped them as they made their way toward the government offices where Mycroft was known to work. As they approached the imposing structure, Holmes felt a sense of anticipation mixed with trepidation. His relationship with Mycroft was complex, marked by both admiration and rivalry. He knew that engaging his brother would require a delicate balance. Upon entering the building, they navigated through the grand hallways, eventually arriving at Mycroft's office. The room was filled with an air of authority, lined with shelves of books and documents that spoke to his brother's extensive knowledge. Mycroft, a portly man with a sharp mind and a sardonic wit, looked up from his desk as they entered. Sherlock, he greeted, a hint of amusement in his voice. To what do I owe the pleasure of your visit? I presume this is not a social call. Holmes smirked, his usual banter returning. Indeed, Mycroft. We find ourselves embroiled in a matter that requires your expertise. Lord Blackwood has resurfaced, and we seek information regarding his followers and their intentions. Mycroft's expression shifted, interest piqued. Blackwood? I had hoped his influence was extinguished. What have you uncovered? Holmes detailed the events of the previous night, explaining their confrontation and the potential for Blackwood's followers to regroup. Mycroft listened attentively, his brow furrowing as he considered the implications. Your instincts are correct, Sherlock. Blackwood has garnered a following that extends beyond mere fascination with the occult. His promises of power attract those who feel disenfranchised, those seeking purpose in a world that often overlooks them. Watson leaned forward, eager to learn more. But how can we dismantle this network? How do we reach those who remain loyal to him? Mycroft steepled his fingers, a contemplative look crossing his face. I have been monitoring reports of unusual gatherings and activities associated with Blackwood's sect. They have been known to convene in hidden locations, often disguised as social clubs or philosophical societies. If you wish to infiltrate these gatherings, we must first identify their meeting points. Holmes nodded, appreciating Mycroft's insights. Do you have any leads on where these gatherings might take place? There are whispers of a particular society that has gained notoriety, the Brotherhood of the Veil. They are known for their secrecy and are rumored to be closely aligned with Blackwood's ideology. I can provide you with their last known locations, but be cautious. They are not to be underestimated. Evelyn's heart raced at the mention of the Brotherhood. I must know more. I need to understand the depths of their beliefs. Mycroft studied her for a moment, assessing her determination. Very well, but I advise caution. Delving into their world can be perilous, especially for someone with ties to Blackwood. Holmes placed a reassuring hand on Evelyn's shoulder. We will protect you. Together, we will face whatever lies ahead. After gathering the necessary information from Mycroft, they left the government building, the weight of their undertaking settling upon them. As they walked through the streets, the city seemed different, alive with the potential for discovery, yet shrouded in danger. The following days were a whirlwind of activity as they worked to uncover the hidden gatherings of the Brotherhood of the Veil. Holmes utilized his network of informants, piecing together snippets of information that would lead them closer to their goal. Watson and Evelyn assisted, with Evelyn's unique insight into the cult's mindset proving invaluable. As they gathered intelligence, it became clear that the Brotherhood was deeply entrenched in the city, their influence reaching into various sectors of society. They were not mere followers. They were individuals who had found purpose in Blackwood's promises, drawn by the allure of power and the desire for change. One evening, as they gathered in their familiar sanctuary of Baker Street, Holmes spread out the notes and information they had compiled. We have identified several potential meeting locations for the Brotherhood. Tonight, we will infiltrate one of their gatherings. It may be our best chance to understand their beliefs and intentions firsthand. Evelyn's heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. What should I do? I want to contribute, but I fear for my safety. Watson reassured her. Stay close to us, Evelyn. If we encounter any danger, we'll ensure you are protected. Your presence may provide us with insights that could turn the tide. Holmes added, You have already shown remarkable courage. Your understanding of their motivations could prove crucial in dismantling their influence. As night fell, they donned dark clothing, ready to blend into the shadows. The streets were alive with the sounds of nightlife, the city's vibrancy juxtaposed with the undercurrent of tension that accompanied their mission. They made their way to a seemingly innocuous building, its facade unremarkable, but within lay the heart of the Brotherhood's operations. Upon entering, they found themselves in a dimly lit room filled with figures cloaked in shadow. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as members of the Brotherhood gathered, their voices hushed in reverence. Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn positioned themselves at the edge of the gathering, their presence unnoticed amid the throng of bodies. As the leader of the Brotherhood stepped forward, the room fell silent. A tall man with an imposing presence, he exuded an air of authority that commanded attention. Brothers and sisters, we gather tonight to reaffirm our commitment to the path laid before us. The time has come to act upon our beliefs, to seize the power that is rightfully ours. Evelyn exchanged worried glances with Holmes and Watson. The fervor in the crowd was palpable, their eyes gleaming with a mix of devotion and desperation. The leader continued, We are on the brink of a new age, one where we shall not be bound by the limitations of this world. We have been chosen to be the harbingers of change, to unlock the potential that lies dormant within us. Blackwood has shown us the way, and soon we shall rise. Holmes leaned closer to Watson, whispering, This fervor is dangerous. They are willing to follow him into darkness without question. Evelyn felt a knot tighten in her stomach as she listened to the rhetoric. I can't believe they are so easily swayed. There must be a way to reach them. As the assembly progressed, the leader began to outline their plans, speaking of rituals and sacrifices that would further solidify their power. The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, and Evelyn felt a surge of determination. She could not allow this madness to continue. With a sudden rush of courage, she stepped forward, drawing the attention of the crowd. You are being misled. This path leads only to destruction. The murmurs of the crowd shifted, confusion mingling with curiosity. Holmes and Watson exchanged surprised glances, unsure of how the Brotherhood would react. The leader's expression darkened, his voice cold. And who are you to challenge our beliefs, girl? I am someone who has seen the truth, Evelyn replied, her voice steady. I was once ensnared by Blackwood's lies, but I have broken free. You must see that this is a deception, a path that will lead to ruin. The crowd hesitated, caught between loyalty and the flicker of doubt that Evelyn's words had ignited. Holmes and Watson moved closer, sensing the tension in the air. The leader sneered, attempting to regain control. Do not listen to her. She is but a pawn, a tool of those who wish to see us fail. We must remain resolute. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some began to question their allegiance, their faith in Blackwood wavering in the face of Evelyn's courage. Holmes seized the moment. You are not alone in this. You can choose to break free from the chains of manipulation. Join us, and together we can dismantle the darkness that threatens to engulf you. The leader's anger flared as he struggled to maintain control. Fools, you will regret this defiance. We are destined for greatness. Evelyn's voice rang out again, louder this time. Greatness built on lies leads only to ruin. Stand with me, and we can forge a new path, one guided by truth and integrity. The tension in the room reached a boiling point as some members of the Brotherhood began to step back, torn between loyalty and the realization that they had been deceived. The leader's grip on the crowd weakened, and the air crackled with uncertainty. In that moment, the gathering erupted into chaos. Some followers began to confront the leader, demanding answers, while others fled the room, unwilling to face the truth. Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn moved swiftly, engaging those who were now questioning their beliefs. Join us, Holmes urged. Together, we can confront the darkness and emerge stronger. You have the power to change your fate. As the crowd dissipated, the leader found himself cornered, his authority crumbling. You will all regret this, he shouted, but his voice was drowned out by the growing dissent among his followers. In a final act of desperation, he lunged toward Evelyn, but Watson intercepted him, grappling with the man and pushing him away from her. The chaos of the gathering continued, the tide shifting as more and more followers chose to abandon the Brotherhood. As the last remnants of the assembly scattered into the night, Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn stood together, breathless from the confrontation. The danger had passed, but the echoes of the past lingered, a reminder of the power of belief and the strength found in truth. Evelyn looked at Holmes and Watson, gratitude shining in her eyes. We did it. We faced them together, and we planted the seeds of doubt. Holmes nodded, a sense of pride swelling within him. You were remarkable, Evelyn. Your courage turned the tide. Watson added, but we must remain vigilant. This is only the beginning. Blackwood's influence may still loom, and we must be prepared for whatever comes next. As they made their way back through the darkened streets of London, the city felt different, transformed by the events of the night. They had faced the echoes of the past and emerged stronger, united in their resolve to confront the darkness that threatened to return. The journey ahead would not be easy, but they would face it together, emboldened by their shared experiences and the knowledge that they could change the course of fate. Chapter 4. The Gathering Storm. The dawn of a new day broke over London, the sun casting a warm golden hue across the city. Yet, for Sherlock Holmes, Dr. John Watson, and Evelyn, the light brought with it a heavy sense of urgency. The events of the previous night had revealed the fragility of their victory over the Brotherhood of the Veil, and as they gathered in the familiar confines of 221B, Baker Street, they understood that their fight was far from over. Holmes stood by the large bay window, his fingers steepled as he gazed out at the streets below. The bustling life outside seemed oblivious to the shadows that loomed just beyond the edges of their perception. The Brotherhood's disarray is but a temporary reprieve, he mused, his voice laced with concern. Blackwood will not take defeat lightly, and his followers, now fractured, may be more dangerous in their desperation. Watson, seated at the table with a stack of notes before him, nodded in agreement. We must anticipate their next move. If they regroup, they will likely seek vengeance, and we must be prepared to counteract whatever they plan. Evelyn, her spirit fortified by the courage she had displayed the previous night, leaned forward, her eyes bright with determination. What can we do? We need to find out where they might gather next and what Blackwood's response will be. We can't let them regroup without a fight. Holmes turned to face them, a flicker of admiration in his sharp gaze. Your resolve is commendable, Evelyn. We must act swiftly. If we can uncover the remnants of Blackwood's influence, we may be able to dismantle it before it can reconstitute itself. He moved toward his desk, rifling through a collection of papers and documents. I believe the key lies in understanding the motivations of Blackwood's followers. Many of them are drawn not just by power, but by a sense of belonging, a community that Blackwood has cultivated through manipulation and fear. Watson leaned back, considering Holmes's words. If we can identify individuals who have left the Brotherhood, we might gather insights into their beliefs and how we can dismantle the cult from within. Holmes nodded, a plan forming in his mind. I have a contact who may assist us, a former member of the Brotherhood. Her name is Clara, and she has recently distanced herself from Blackwood's circle. If we can convince her to share what she knows, we may gain a clearer understanding of their operations. Evelyn straightened, her expression resolute. Let's find her. If she was once part of that world, she might have valuable information that can help us. With a sense of purpose, they set out into the city, the air crisp and charged with possibility. As they navigated through the streets, Holmes shared what he knew about Clara. She was once a promising scholar, drawn into Blackwood's fold by his promises of enlightenment. However, as her understanding of the cult's true nature deepened, she grew disillusioned and sought to escape. Watson raised an eyebrow. And you believe she will be willing to talk to us? Clara is intelligent and resourceful. If we approach her with sincerity, I believe she will recognize the significance of our mission. After a brief search through the winding streets of London, they arrived at a modest flat nestled in a quiet neighborhood. The building appeared unremarkable, but Holmes's instincts told him that Clara would be more than just a simple scholar. He knocked on the door, and moments later, it creaked open to reveal a young woman with sharp features and wary eyes. "Sherlock Holmes," she said, her voice a mixture of surprise and apprehension. "What brings you here?" "Clara," Holmes replied, offering a reassuring smile. "Thank you for seeing us. We have come to discuss the Brotherhood of the Veil and your experiences within it." Her expression shifted as she glanced past them, ensuring they were not followed. "I thought I had left that life behind. I want nothing to do with Blackwood or his followers." Evelyn stepped forward, her voice earnest. "We understand your fears, but we need your help. Blackwood's influence is still present, and we believe you can provide us with insights that could help dismantle his hold over others." Clara hesitated, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. "I've seen what they are capable of. They are dangerous. Blackwood is not one to be underestimated." Holmes nodded, his tone gentle. "We do not wish to bring you back into that world, Clara. We seek only the knowledge you possess. Your experience could save lives." After a moment of silence, Clara took a deep breath, her resolve wavering. "Very well. Come inside." As the three of them entered the flat, Clara closed the door behind them, the atmosphere thick with tension. The small space was cluttered with books and papers, remnants of her scholarly pursuits now intertwined with the shadows of her past. Clara gestured for them to sit, her demeanor shifting from apprehension to determination. "I was drawn to the Brotherhood because of their promises of knowledge and power. Blackwood was charismatic, and he spoke of unlocking the hidden potential within each of us," she began, her voice steady. "At first, it was intoxicating. We believed we were part of something greater." Evelyn listened intently, sensing the pain behind Clara's words. "What changed?" Clara's expression darkened. "As I delved deeper, I began to see the darkness lurking beneath their ideals. The rituals they practiced were not about enlightenment, they were about control. Blackwood wielded fear like a weapon, and those who questioned him were swiftly silenced." Watson furrowed his brow. "Did you witness any specific rituals?" "Yes," Clara replied, her voice trembling. "There was one in particular, a ceremony meant to summon a dark entity. It was to take place on the night of the full moon, and I was chosen to participate. I realized then that I could not go through with it. I fled." Holmes leaned forward, urgency in his tone. "Do you know if they are planning another ritual? We must know when and where it will take place." Clara nodded, her gaze distant as she recalled the details. "I overheard them discussing a gathering at an old estate on the outskirts of the city. They believe it to be a sacred site, one that amplifies their power. The full moon is only days away. If they are planning a ceremony, it will likely occur then." Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. "We must stop them. We cannot allow another dark ritual to take place, especially with Blackwood still at large." Holmes's mind raced as he processed the information. "Clara, can you guide us to this estate? We need to confront them before their plans come to fruition." Clara hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. "It won't be easy. The Brotherhood is fiercely loyal to Blackwood, and they will not take kindly to intruders." Watson placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You are not alone in this. We will stand by your side." After a moment of contemplation, Clara nodded, a newfound resolve settling over her. "Very well. I will help you." As they made their preparations, the weight of their mission settled heavily on their shoulders. The knowledge of what lay ahead was daunting, but they understood the stakes. The safety of countless lives hung in the balance, and they were determined to confront the darkness head-on. The journey to the estate was filled with a tense anticipation. As they traveled through the winding roads leading to the outskirts of London, Clara provided further details about the Brotherhood's practices and beliefs. They are driven by a desire for power and a misguided sense of purpose. Blackwood has convinced them that they are destined for greatness, but at what cost? Holmes listened intently, formulating a strategy in his mind. We must disrupt their ceremony and expose the truth. If we can show them the consequences of their actions, we may be able to sway those who remain loyal to Blackwood. As they arrived at the estate, the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the property. The mansion loomed ahead, a Gothic structure with an air of foreboding. Clara's eyes widened as they approached. This is it. The Brotherhood gathers here. Holmes surveyed the surroundings, noting the lack of activity. We must be cautious. They may be preparing for their ritual even now. They moved stealthily toward the entrance, their hearts pounding in unison. As they reached the door, Clara paused, her breath catching in her throat. I can't believe I'm back here. Evelyn placed a reassuring hand on her back. You are not alone. We'll face this together. With a nod, Clara pushed open the door, revealing a darkened interior illuminated only by flickering candles. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and the scent of incense hung heavy in the air. Shadows danced along the walls as they stepped inside, the eerie silence amplifying their senses. Holmes led the way, his instincts guiding them deeper into the mansion. They moved through narrow hallways adorned with ancient portraits, each face seemingly watching their every move. The air crackled with anticipation, an undercurrent of energy that hinted at the ritual's imminent commencement. As they approached a door at the end of the hallway, Clara halted, her voice a whisper. This leads to the main chamber. They will be gathered there. Watson placed a hand on the door, his heart racing. Are you ready? Evelyn nodded, determination etched on her face. We must stop them. With a deep breath, Holmes pushed the door open, revealing a large chamber bathed in candlelight. The Brotherhood of the Veil was assembled, their figures cloaked in darkness, faces obscured by hoods. At the center stood Blackwood, his presence commanding and malevolent. Welcome, my faithful followers, he began, his voice echoing through the chamber. Tonight marks a pivotal moment in our journey. We stand on the cusp of greatness, ready to unleash the power that lies dormant within us. Evelyn felt a surge of anger at his words. You are leading them to destruction. The crowd turned, surprise and confusion spreading among them. Blackwood's expression darkened as he spotted the intruders. You dare to interrupt our sacred gathering? You are fools to challenge the Brotherhood. Holmes stepped forward, his voice steady. Your reign of fear ends here, Blackwood. We will not allow you to sacrifice anyone else in your twisted quest for power. The Brotherhood hesitated, uncertainty flickering in their eyes as they took in the confrontation. Clara, standing beside Holmes and Watson, raised her voice. You have been deceived. Blackwood's promises are lies, and his rituals lead only to darkness. The tension in the chamber thickened as the followers grappled with their loyalty to Blackwood and the truth that Clara had revealed. Some began to murmur among themselves, doubt creeping into their hearts. Blackwood's anger boiled over. Enough! Do not listen to their lies. We are destined for greatness, and I will not be denied. With a wave of his hand, he commanded the Brotherhood to resume their chants, but the energy in the room had shifted. Members began to exchange glances, some stepping back, unwilling to continue in the face of the truth they were confronted with. Holmes seized the moment. You have a choice. You can break free from Blackwood's manipulation and choose a different path. As the chanting faltered, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Some followers began to lower their hoods, revealing faces filled with turmoil. The seeds of doubt had been planted, and the power of truth was beginning to take root. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice steady and resolute. You are not alone. We can stand together against the darkness that seeks to control us. Do not let fear guide your decisions. In that moment, the chamber erupted into chaos. Some followers turned on Blackwood, their loyalty wavering as they confronted the truth. Others fled, unwilling to face the consequences of their blind allegiance. Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn moved swiftly, engaging those who remained loyal to Blackwood. Join us, Holmes urged. Together, we can confront the darkness and emerge stronger. As the leader of the Brotherhood found himself isolated, his fury intensified. You will all regret this betrayal. I will summon the darkness, and you will pay the price. Evelyn stood firm, her heart racing as she faced Blackwood. You will not succeed. Your reign of terror ends tonight. With the chamber in disarray, the confrontation reached a fever pitch. Blackwood's desperation drove him to unleash dark energy, but it was met with the united front of those who had chosen to break free from his manipulation. In a climactic moment, Clara stepped forward, her voice ringing out with conviction. "You have no power over us. We choose our own destinies." As the energy in the chamber surged, the confrontation reached its zenith. The darkness that Blackwood had sought to wield began to unravel, revealing the strength of those who had chosen to stand against it. In the ensuing chaos, Holmes and Watson moved to protect Evelyn and Clara, ensuring they remained safe amid the turmoil. The followers who had once been loyal to Blackwood now found themselves questioning their beliefs, caught in the crossfire of a battle for their souls. With a final surge of determination, Evelyn raised her voice above the din. "We are not defined by our past. We can choose to forge a new path together." As the energy in the chamber swirled around them, Blackwood's hold began to weaken. The followers who had once been entranced by his promises now began to break away, their loyalty crumbling in the face of the truth. As the last remnants of the Brotherhood scattered into the night, Holmes, Watson, Evelyn, and Clara stood together, breathless from the confrontation. They had faced the storm and emerged stronger, united in their defiance against the darkness that had threatened to consume them. The journey ahead would not be easy, but they understood that they had forged a bond that would guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead. The gathering storm had been met with courage, and together, they would face the shadows that lingered on the horizon. Chapter 5. Unraveling Threads. The aftermath of the confrontation with the Brotherhood of the Veil left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who had stood against the darkness. As the early morning light filtered through the windows of 221B, Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes, Dr. John Watson, and Evelyn gathered to assess the impact of their actions. The room, usually filled with the scent of tobacco and the sound of clinking teacups, now felt charged with a sense of urgency and unresolved tension. Holmes sat at his desk, a stack of papers strewn before him as he methodically reviewed their findings. The flickering of the gas lamp cast shadows across his sharp features, accentuating the intensity of his focus. Despite the chaos of the previous night, he was already strategizing their next steps. "The Brotherhood's disbanding was a significant victory," he began, his voice steady. "Yet, we cannot allow ourselves to be lulled into a false sense of security. Blackwood remains at large, and his followers may still pose a threat." Watson leaned back in his chair, concern etched across his brow. "What do we know about Blackwood's next move? He will undoubtedly seek to reclaim his power in some form or another." Evelyn, seated beside Watson, felt the weight of their shared experience. The adrenaline of the previous night still coursed through her veins, mixing with a sense of purpose. "We need to understand the remnants of his influence. If he has loyalists who have not yet abandoned him, they may still pose a danger." Holmes nodded, impressed by Evelyn's insight. "Indeed, we must identify any remaining threads of Blackwood's network. If we can locate his loyalists, we can preemptively disrupt their plans before they can regain strength." As they strategized, the morning progressed, and the city outside began to awaken. The streets hummed with life, unaware of the dangers lurking just beneath the surface. Holmes's mind raced with possibilities, and he felt an urgency to act. "Watson, I believe it is time to pay a visit to Mycroft. His connections may provide us with valuable leads regarding Blackwood's remaining followers." Watson agreed, rising from his chair. "Let's not waste any time. The sooner we gather information, the better prepared we will be." Evelyn felt a surge of determination as they prepared to leave. "I want to come with you. I need to understand more about Blackwood's network and how I can help." Holmes regarded her with admiration. "Your courage is commendable, Evelyn. Your unique perspective will be invaluable in this endeavor." With a sense of purpose, the trio set out into the bustling streets of London once more. The air was brisk, and the sounds of the city enveloped them as they navigated through the throngs of people. As they approached the government offices where Mycroft worked, Holmes felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The relationship he shared with his brother was complex, a blend of rivalry and respect. Upon entering the building, they made their way through the grand hallways until they arrived at Mycroft's office. The room was filled with an air of authority, lined with shelves of documents and books that spoke to his brother's extensive knowledge. Mycroft looked up from his desk as they entered, a hint of surprise crossing his features. "Sherlock, Watson, and Miss Evelyn," he greeted, his tone both curious and cautious. "What brings you here today? I trust it is not merely a social call." Holmes wasted no time. We need your assistance, Mycroft. Blackwood's influence is not eradicated. We believe he may still have loyalists in the city, and we require your network to uncover their whereabouts. Mycroft's expression shifted, a flicker of concern crossing his face. Blackwood? I had hoped his grip on the city had been loosened. What evidence do you have of his remaining followers? Evelyn stepped forward, her voice earnest. We encountered members of the Brotherhood last night who still cling to his ideals. They are dangerous, and we need to understand who they are and where they might be gathering. Mycroft's brow furrowed as he considered their request. Very well. I may have access to intelligence reports that could shed light on any unusual gatherings or activities associated with Blackwood's followers. It will take some time to compile the information, but I can certainly assist you. Holmes nodded, grateful for his brother's willingness to help. We appreciate your assistance, Mycroft. Time is of the essence. As they settled into Mycroft's office, he began to sift through documents and reports, his keen mind working to connect the threads of information. The atmosphere in the room was charged with anticipation as they awaited Mycroft's findings. After what felt like an eternity, Mycroft finally looked up, his expression serious. I have identified several reports of gatherings that correspond with known associates of Blackwood. They have been meeting in various locations across the city, often under the guise of social clubs or philosophical societies. Watson leaned forward, intrigued. Do any of these gatherings appear to be significant? We need to know where they might be planning to regroup. Mycroft nodded. One particular group stands out, a clandestine society known as the Circle of Shadows. They have been linked to several suspicious activities and are rumored to be planning a gathering in a few days' time. Their location is well guarded, making it difficult to infiltrate. Evelyn's heart raced at the mention of the Circle of Shadows. Do we know where they are meeting? Mycroft rifled through his documents, finally producing a sheet with an address. They will gather at an abandoned warehouse near the Thames. It's an area known for its secrecy and has historically been a site for illicit activities. Holmes's mind whirred with possibilities. We must infiltrate this gathering. If we can expose their plans and confront their leaders, we may be able to disrupt any remnants of Blackwood's influence. Watson looked at Holmes, determination in his eyes. Then we must prepare. We cannot afford to underestimate them, especially after what we faced with the Brotherhood. As they formulated their plan, the weight of their mission settled heavily upon them. The knowledge that Blackwood's loyalists were still active spurred them into action, a sense of urgency propelling them forward. The streets of London seemed to shift around them, the shadows deepening as they prepared to confront the darkness that lingered. The following days were a flurry of activity as they gathered their resources and formulated a strategy for the impending infiltration. Holmes utilized his network of informants, gathering intelligence about the Circle of Shadows and their operations. Watson and Evelyn worked tirelessly, devising a plan to approach the gathering without drawing attention. As the day of the gathering approached, the air crackled with tension. Evelyn felt a mix of apprehension and determination, her resolve solidifying with each passing moment. She had faced the darkness once before, and she was prepared to do so again, all in the name of thwarting Blackwood's ambitions. On the night of the gathering, they donned dark clothing, ready to blend into the shadows. The streets were alive with the sounds of nightlife as they made their way to the warehouse, a structure that loomed ominously against the night sky. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and as they approached, Evelyn could feel her heart pounding in her chest. "Stay close," Holmes instructed, his voice low and steady. "We must remain vigilant." As they reached the entrance, they paused, taking in the scene before them. The warehouse was dimly lit, and the sounds of murmured conversations drifted from within. Shadows moved against the walls, and the air was thick with an unsettling energy. Holmes pushed the door open slowly, revealing a large room filled with figures cloaked in darkness. The Circle of Shadows had gathered, their faces obscured by hoods, creating an atmosphere of mystery and foreboding. At the center stood a figure, commanding and charismatic, akin to Blackwood himself. "Welcome, my loyal followers," the figure began, their voice echoing through the space. "Tonight, we reaffirm our commitment to our cause. We stand on the brink of greatness, ready to unleash the power that lies within us." Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine at the familiarity of the rhetoric. "We must stop this," she whispered to Holmes and Watson. Holmes nodded, his expression resolute. "We will confront them." As the figure continued to speak, extolling the virtues of their dark path, the air grew thick with tension. Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn moved carefully through the shadows, positioning themselves to intercept the leaders of the circle. The figure at the center gestured dramatically, and the room erupted into fervent applause. We have gathered to prepare for the ritual that will solidify our power. The full moon approaches, and with it comes the opportunity to claim what is rightfully ours. Evelyn exchanged worried glances with Holmes and Watson. We can't let them proceed with this ritual. As the figure continued, Holmes stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise. You are being misled. This path leads only to darkness and destruction. The crowd turned, surprised by the intrusion. The figure's expression darkened, and they pointed a finger at Holmes, fury igniting in their gaze. You dare to disrupt our gathering? You will pay the price for your insolence. Watson moved to stand beside Holmes, ready to confront the figure. You are the one who will face the consequences of your actions. We will not allow you to sacrifice anyone else. Evelyn took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This is your chance to break free. You do not have to follow this path. The crowd hesitated, doubt creeping into their hearts. The figure's authority wavered as some members began to exchange glances, uncertainty written across their faces. Do not listen to them, the figure shouted, desperation creeping into their voice. They are here to destroy what we have built. Holmes seized the moment, his voice steady and commanding. You have a choice. You can choose to abandon this darkness and reclaim your lives. As the atmosphere in the room shifted, the tension reached a breaking point. Some members began to lower their hoods, revealing faces filled with turmoil. The power of truth was beginning to resonate, and doubt was taking root. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice unwavering. You can choose a different path. Do not let fear guide your decisions. In that moment, chaos erupted. Some followers began to turn on the figure, questioning their loyalty and the path they had chosen. The figure's anger boiled over as they struggled to maintain control. You will all regret this betrayal. I will unleash the power of the dark forces upon you. Holmes and Watson moved swiftly, ensuring Evelyn remained safe as the confrontation escalated. The figure's desperation only intensified the chaos, and the room erupted into a cacophony of voices. As the energy in the chamber surged, Evelyn felt a surge of determination. We can stand together against the darkness. You have the power to choose your own fate. With the confrontation reaching its zenith, the figure found themselves isolated, their authority crumbling in the face of the truth. The circle of shadows began to fracture, loyalty wavering as the followers grappled with the reality of their situation. In a climactic moment, Clara stepped forward, joining them. You have been deceived. Together, we can confront the darkness and emerge stronger. As the energy in the chamber swirled around them, the figure's hold began to dissipate. The followers who had once been entranced by their promises now found themselves questioning their beliefs, caught in the crossfire of a battle for their souls. With a final surge of determination, Evelyn raised her voice above the din. You are not defined by your past. You can choose to forge a new path together. As the last remnants of the circle of shadows scattered, Holmes, Watson, and Evelyn stood united, breathless from the confrontation. They had faced the storm and emerged stronger, united in their defiance against the darkness that had threatened to consume them. The journey ahead would not be easy, but they understood that they had forged a bond that would guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead. The threads of Blackwood's influence were unraveling, and together, they would confront the shadows that lingered on the horizon. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the story as much as we enjoyed bringing it to life. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your support not only encourages us, but also helps us reach more people who love stories like this. We're committed to creating even more exciting and engaging content for you, so stay tuned for future installments. Whether it's thrilling mysteries, captivating adventures, or heartfelt tales, we're here to take you on unforgettable journeys. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and any stories you'd like to see in the future. Your feedback means the world to us. Thank you once again for being a part of our storytelling community, and we look forward to sharing more incredible stories with you soon.